Hubsan Zino Mini Pro, latest update. Got that coming up next. Build a Drone Reviewer here. If you like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The other night I hosted Rotor Talk Live and was joined by co-host Mr. Ron Braun. During one of the segments, we discussed at length the latest updates regarding the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. Now, yes, Hubsan Zino Mini Pro update. Something you've all been waiting for, okay? Now, I know Marcus had posted out on the Zino Mini Pro group his shipping update out there, okay? Now, he ordered, and remember this, okay? He ordered his from Hubsan, okay? Not Hubsan US, okay? He ordered his from Hubsan, as Ron and Marcus and I like to say, the mothership, all right? The epicenter, you know. So he ordered directly from Hubsan. I ordered mine from Hubsan US, all right? Now, there hasn't been a lot of activity out there. Now, I've logged on every day. I go out there. It still says processing, 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 processing. So I've sent some emails. I've gotten some dates. The last date I got was 8/13. That date's come and gone, and I sent another email out, okay? Now, I'm going to share with you the response that I got from Kyle from Hubsan US, all right? Now, it's very interesting what he has to say here, all right? All right. Dear Bill, or hello, Bill, we sincerely apologize for the shipping delay. There are some firmware updates currently being done, which is holding off the shipping time. We are making sure the end user will be receiving a great product with all the wonderful features. We will update you via email with an update before shipping. Unfortunately, we're unable to give an exact shipping date as it depends on all firmware updates to be completed. Also, it's impossible that any of your friends got it already or has an active tracking number since it has not been shipped yet outside China. We hope to get your kindly support. Thanks, HubsanUS.com support team. Okay. Now, here's my response back to him. I said, Kyle, first I stated friends who ordered directly from Hubsan have received tracking information, not Hubsan US. And I attached the example that Marcus had posted. And then there was a picture that Ron Brown had posted. Another picture shows L3 Toys overseas with a Zino Mini Pro in stock. Second, I'm not sure why I understand it's being delayed for firmware updates. Consumers could do that themselves, and Hubsan overseas has already shipped their drones, okay? Now, there's a customer in India, I believe that's who he is, and I forget his name. He's already put out several videos regarding the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro, and I think you guys have seen that. And it's posted on the Zino Mini Pro website. These delays are trying everyone's patience as a state. We all paid for it in full 3 months ago and get to see it. I'll look forward to your email, your reply, and we'll await the shipping notice email shortly. Okay. I wanted to go ahead and talk about a few things here that I thought were real interesting. Okay. And, you know, the first thing here, place it here. Hey, welcome. Place it here. Thanks for joining us tonight. Okay. You know, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is now, you know, he's saying now that the reason for the delay is firmware updates. All right. Okay. Firmware updates can be done by the end user. Okay. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't understand why he said something like that, okay? You know, I can understand if it needs a firmware update, okay? And you can push it on, the consumers can do that. But why hold up sending out the drone, you know, work on the firmware update, push them out over the air like everybody does. And, you know, probably the first thing you need to do after you get everything charged up and everything is to do a firmware update. So you push it out and you do the firmware update. So that's, I mean, unless this thing is so large, you can't do it over the air. But I don't think that's the case. So, I mean, that's just very curious. And the other thing that, as I stated, and I attached in the email was a screenshot from Marcus. I didn't put Marcus's name in there, but it shows clearly that it's been shipped, and it's been shipped from Hubsan from over in China. So he was confused. He thought I meant Hubsan US. No, I didn't say Hubsan US. And there's very few people, I don't think, I haven't really seen, and unless somebody can correct me, I haven't really seen anybody here in the US, with the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro yet. Miguel Silva, maybe he said about firmware updates because some drone reviewers have been telling that with so many delays, it's better come with everything working. That's a good point, Miguel. That's a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up. And and I agree with that. I think out of the box, like I just talked about with the Mini SE, out of the box, there was a firmware update. It was a minor one. Boom. I mean, before I even flew, I did the update, and it said stability, whatever. Okay, and I got it taken care of, and it was a minor kind of a thing, and it worked. Let's hope that's the case, Miguel. I'm really kind of hoping that's the case. So I don't know. So, why it's still being delayed, I don't know. And because, I understand what you're saying, Miguel, but the other point is this, Hubsan has already shipped their drones out, okay, directly from Hubsan. Hubsan US has not shipped theirs out yet because it needs this firmware update. And, I just don't get it. I don't understand what's going on here, what the delay is. And, again, this is something that can be done by the consumer, it's better. I think it's better to get them out in the hands. People, like we said, it's coming up tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, tomorrow the 18th. So it will be exactly 3 months since I paid for it. All right. And they've had my $540 for 3 months. I would like to see something for my money. It's kind of been sitting there. So I think it's frustrating. I think it's frustrating for a lot of people. Maybe Hubsan US is trying to get a more finished product than buying direct from China. That's a possibility too, Miguel. So that's kind of like, we'll see what goes on here. I mean, it's just one of those things that I think a lot of people are very frustrated. There's been a lot of delays with this. We all know what a fiasco that the when Hubsan did their live stream with this, what a disaster that was. And they showed the runtime with the drone, which it really kind of lived up to its runtime, but somebody didn't watch it at the end and it crashed. And we saw that, but just the give and take and the back and forth with the questions and probably Mandarin and in English, and the give and take with that, there was a lot there, and that was just kind of a disaster. And then you've seen recently, and I'm sure you all have seen these, Hubsan has been putting out video after video after video, how-to videos, training videos on the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. Good stuff. It's all good videos here. And, it's in advance of probably people actually getting the drones. That's one of the things that I have to say. They're doing their due diligence in getting these videos out, but, it's good to have them. It's good to watch them, but the drone's not in hand. And I think a lot of people are kind of frustrated about that. So, we'll kind of cross our fingers. I'm hoping within the next few days, we'll hear something on this. Now, one of the things I did go ahead and I did watch that video from that gentleman over in India. I didn't really see a whole lot negative in that video. He did attach, now there was a heat guard on the bottom of the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. I don't know how many of you have actually watched that video. It's, it was on the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro group that I have out on Facebook. There's a guard on the bottom that covers the heat sink on there, and he actually touched it and he didn't get burned. So evidently that's a good thing. But it's necessary to put that guard on there so like that area is hot. And I think that's something Ron and I had discussed about the heat buildup, because of the processor in the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro, that was something that was, I think, going to be an issue and rear its ugly head. And hopefully it's not. But they did think ahead of time, and they did have a plastic guard there so you don't go ahead and touch that. I think that's a good thing to do. And I'm hopeful that there's good airflow through there when you're flying to cool things down, that, because that's something that's really necessary. The video, from what I can tell, and I mean, I haven't, I've only watched that one gentleman who I believe is from India. It looked good from what I could see. I didn't really see a whole lot of things negative about it. And here we have Mr. Ron Brown. How are you, sir?
Hello, Bill, and welcome everybody out in the chat there. How's everybody doing tonight? Bill, how are you? Gave you a chance to get some much needed water there, huh? On there.
Doing good. We're talking about the Zino Mini Pro, and I just shared my update, and it was real interesting.
Oh, you got an update?
Yeah, I got an update from Hubsan US. And they told me they're in the process of doing software updates to it, and it's not ready to ship yet, and they don't have a date.
Oh, wow.
Now,
this is unconfirmed, but I did hear a rumor just in the past 24 hours that a big update is coming to the Zino Mini on Friday. And I don't know if that's a firmware update to the drone or an app update, but hopefully that adds some of the missing features that we saw in Ali Shan's video that was missing some of the
and that's and that's Miguel Silva in the chat. He kind of pointed that out. Maybe because like I had just said when I talked about the Mini SE in an earlier segment, how pretty much out of the box it was good to go. We really didn't have. There was a firmware update, but it was a minor kind of thing, and I just ran it right away, and then boom, there was no issues with it. And he said maybe they're trying to get it to the point that they're trying to get it to where out of the box it's going to go.
Yeah, and of course the Mini SE doesn't really have a lot of smart features and bells and whistles, so they didn't have to work as hard. On that as Hubsan is trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink in this drone. So I mean that's on them. But still, it's a big difference between the feature set on the two drones.
Well, I don't know if you saw, I'm sure you watched the video from, I forget the gentleman's name over in India.
I can't pronounce his whole name. The gentleman's Indian, but his channels, I say Ali Shah, but there's more to it.
Ali Shah. That part where he talks about, and he shows the plastic guard on the bottom to prevent you from burning yourself.
We'll call it the heat cage, or for lack of a better word.
Yeah, which I thought was real interesting. And I don't know if you saw the part where he was touching his hand to it and holding it. And, he obviously he didn't get burned. So
he held it for a long time before he took his hand off of it.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed. So I think obviously it's getting some good airflow when you're up there flying.
Now, Bill, when you get it, do you intend to, I know this is early, but do you intend to fly it with that heat sink on or off?
I'm going to initially not put it on just to see how it does. But, again, being here, we're still having 90+ degree days down here. So, it's if I time it right in the morning and get up early, it won't be super hot. So that's why I want to do. That's when I took my Mini SE out. It was early in the morning on Saturday when I did my flying because it wasn't so stinking hot. So I'm going to do the same thing when I get my Zino Mini Pro, is to get it up early in the morning because it just gets too stinking hot.
And the sun causes as much of that heat on these drones as the temperature does. Hey, Bill, I'm glad you addressed that. One thing I found, interesting, I'm not saying interesting good or interesting bad, but what did you think of the feature where the Hubsan Mini Pro, before it takes off or as soon as it lands, it automatically shuts FPV off, so the same battery life, and I guess even the same heating issues.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I didn't, I'm like, what is this? It's just like, because it's foreign, because you don't expect that, with like DJI products that, that's just something you don't see. And even with Fimi, you don't see that. Okay. And that's a very interesting feature. I thought it was just okay, I'm
Yeah,
like,
I guess I see their point. There's no use having the video on when the drone's sitting on the ground,
right.
especially if it's using battery or heating the drone up by having it on, because you know how it is. Sometimes you're sitting there and messing with stuff. You may have that on for 2, 3 minutes before you take off.
You're still and you're burning up space when you're doing that kind of stuff too. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. It's just something that I think is going to be different and something we're going to have to get used to. One of the things that I'm real curious about was that slot that looks like an SD card slot. Because Ali Shah, he didn't say anything about it, but I'm really curious as to exactly what that is, if that is indeed an SD card
Yeah, I
slot.
mean, people speculate that it's just maybe a slot for if they have to do some sort of repairs at the factory on the drone. But I think there's a sticker over top of it or something saying not to insert a memory card in it.
Okay. Okay.
I
Yeah,
believe that's been in one of the unboxing videos, that there's like a sticker, a piece of tape over it warning you not to put a card in there.
you're probably right. And I think that, well, the
And
only
two,
other,
Bill, it could be the same. They're making the same exact body frame for this and the um, I keep wanting to say Fimi Hubsan Mini Zino. Hubsan Zino SE. They have an SE too,
they have
and
an
I
SD, yeah.
believe the SE model of the Zino Mini actually will have a memory card slot and not have internal things. So they probably save money by fabbing the same body both times, and just so that card slot's there on the better one, but it's nothing on the other side. In fact, I'm afraid it's one of those things where you put a card in, it would fall all the way through and go into the innards of the drone, and then it would bounce around in there and possibly cause some damage.
Yeah, you're probably right, and that's a very good point, Ron. That it's probably for the Mini SE for Zeno, and because they're not going to have that internal memory like the Zeno Mini Pro is going to have. So I mean,
And by the way, on the website it says that the Zeno Mini SE's coming out the 20th. So we, most of us, well, outside of a couple people in Asia, nobody even has the Pro yet, and the SE's due to ship or something on the 20th.
Yeah, well, you can't even buy the SE in the United States yet. I haven't seen it for sale.
Yeah, I get the 20th, supposedly the day.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So I mean, I have no intention of buying it, but I will cruise over to the website to see if the buy button's active.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. And and just going back to
Before you jump on, do we know the price of the Mini SE?
I haven't seen anything wrong.
Because right now, if they haven't announced the price yet, how can it be more money than the DJI SE, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It's got to be at the same price point, or I'm going to say even less, right? I mean, I don't remember the feature set of the SE, but I can't imagine having too many more features than the DJI Mini.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. I think it's going to have to be around $299 or less, because to make it above that, Hubsan's going to shoot themselves in the foot.
Right, unless they add something real compelling to it, and I have to go back and study the feature set to see if it's as bare bones as the SE, or whether it has more bells and whistles.
Yeah, I'm going to go back, and you're right. That's a good thing. I want to go back and take a look at it too, and I think it'll probably prove fruitful to find that information out.
I guess if it has the same battery as the Pro, it'll have the same incredible battery life.
Yeah,
that the Pro is probably even better, because without the advanced electronics and cameras, it'll probably even score out a few more minutes of battery time than the Pro version.
It's probably going to weigh less too, I would think.
Weigh a little less, and maybe get a few minutes more battery life. So yeah, it's interesting days ahead, Bill.
Yeah, we got a lot to look forward to. Well, as I said in my previous segment, when I was talking about the Mini SE, I was giving some reasons why it's the perfect starter drone. Okay, number one, you look at the price for $299. I mean, really, you talk about
it's the best under $300 drone ever made. I'd go out on a limb, right?
Oh yeah, I mean you're not even on a limb, Ron, with that. I mean it's like, well, I was talking about, I know Marcus has flown what, the Potenzic drones and Holy Stone drones, and and not knocking any of those, but I'll tell you what, okay,
But
first
some of
thing,
them are in that same 299 ballpark.
yeah, the first thing I noticed, Ron, after I took off with the Mini SE, it was like I was just holding it there. It was just still, like it wasn't even moving at all. It was that rock solid. Okay, just right after taking off. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't know if you got to see, there's a guy called, I think his name's World Explorer. He also has the DJI, the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. I'm gonna have to come up with a 4 letters for that. And he's not a big YouTube channel like Ali Shan, who has 300,000 subscribers. Somebody has less than 100 subscribers. So he did the hover test between the DJI Mini. I don't know which Mini it was. Whether it had to be the Mini 1 or the Mini SE, because he had the old style controller, and then he hovered the Zeno Mini, and the DJI one was locked in just like you said. And now the Hubsan drone, it didn't do any what do you call up and down anymore, they used to call it, or whatever. But you can see it move a little bit, like it danced ever so slightly where the DJI drone did. So we've kind of been led to believe that it hovered just as good as the DJI Mini drones. And by this video, I don't think it hovers quite as well, but very acceptable though. I mean, good enough for most.
Yeah, and see, this is the thing, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this as well too. I sold my Fimi Mini, okay, and
shocking.
Yes, it was a big shock. Breaking news development. Okay?
What Fred Stanford? The big one's coming.
I don't want to cause any heart issues for you, Ron. But I mean, look, and I think for you, and for most people, I want to be able to, out of the box, like the Mini SE, charge it up, fire it up, quick firmware update, get it up, and it's going to do what it's going to, what I want it to do, okay, and be rock solid about it, okay. You shouldn't really have to work at it, and do. Oh, it's going to take another firmware update. Oh, I got to calibrate the gimbal again. Oh, I got to calibrate the remote again. Oh, I got to do the IMU calibration again. It's like it gets where it gets really old having to do that time and time and time again. And that's what it seems like to me with Fimi, Ron. It's like between every time I fly, there's another firmware update. You got to do that. And the gimbal's now off, so it's not going to have, you're going to have horizon tilt, and it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've I thought the Fimi was making real progress with the original X8s or whatever, the 2018 220 version, and I think they took a step backward with this Mini.
Oh yeah, it was obvious that they put this out way too soon. They were trying to be, they knew Hubsan was coming out with their drone, so they wanted to be, okay, Fimi, you did win the race, okay, you did beat Hubsan out with your drone. However, it's like, when you put out a product like that, I mean, I've not really heard any drone reviewer recommend that drone, really. I mean, it's not a drone that you want to recommend for that kind of price. I mean, for that kind of price, spend $299, get yourself a Mini SE. You'll be so much better off.
Right, because if you think you need for the 4K video that the Fimi offers, or the tracking features that it offers and all that stuff, well, it doesn't even do the things it's supposed to do correctly, like, fly right, gimbal function right, or whatever. It doesn't even do the basics. So the advanced features mean nothing to me if the drone can't do the basics or whatever. And that's the thing that at least we've seen with the Hubsan drone. I mean, yeah, maybe the advanced features aren't there yet, but it hovers well enough, it flies well enough, the gimbal looks steady enough. I mean, the horizon looks fine or whatever. So the most important things seem to be there. Now we need to nail down the more advanced, I hate the advanced features, but the intelligent features, whatever. But the basics look like they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, if the basics aren't right, none of that other stuff matters.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you can't get down your basics, like you just said, of being able to take off, hover relatively stable, to get stable video from it, to get, no gimbal shakes from it, to get a stable horizon from it. I mean, these are things that should be givens when you buy a drone. They shouldn't be things that you have to work at, manipulate, do adjustments to. It should work right away like that.
I never saw Ali Shah one time in his videos have to land it, have to recalibrate the compass. He didn't have to recalibrate the gimbal. He didn't calibrate anything during all the videos he's put out. And even if you say, well, he's a big time YouTuber, he's hot at this guy, again, I'm sorry I don't have his name exactly, the World Explorer, whatever. You don't see him doing it either, and he's just some less than 100,000 subscriber guys. He's not cutting anything out.
Well, you know what I thought was real interesting? You posted a picture from L3 Toys about how, they have it in stock, okay?
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because, here I am here in Hubsan US, and it's like, oh, no, we got firmware updates we need to do before we put it out and everything. And I'm like, okay, I said I don't get it. I just don't understand, but I guess I'll find out shortly.
You should have said that was one of those Facebook story things. You should have said this. Well, how comes L3 Toys has a warehouse full of them and his aren't being updated?
Yeah, well, I did send.
You should have canceled my order, and I'm going to call L3 Toys up and get mine.
Yeah,
he'll probably get it here faster, even though he's in Malaysia. He'll probably still get it to you faster.
Yeah, I'd probably get it faster if he could put it on a boat. I'd probably get it faster than Hubsan US sends it out. It's like the whole thing. It's like my whole thing is like, okay, if you're working on a firmware update, here you just send the drone out to the consumers. Okay, push the firmware update to the consumers and say, we highly recommend before your first flight, you do this firmware update because it will fix A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. It will take care of all these issues and you'll have a drone that will do everything we say it's going to do. Okay.
Yeah.
But
remember the DJI Mini 1. Remember it had that issue. Remember Laura made a big deal about it where the batteries would not charge up correctly. Yeah. You had to put the battery in the drone for the first charge. But DJI, they did issue, I think they issued a firmware update that same week that we got the drone that corrected it or whatever. So I understand, one or two firmware updates to correct something that's wrong. Oh, okay, like that battery thing. That's fine. I mean, I didn't think DJI too much on it or whatever, but this, what you're just talking about, some of this is ridiculous.
Well, it's like I pointed out in my email, tomorrow it'll be 3 months since I paid my $500+ for a drone, and they've had my money for 3 months. I mean,
back to my rumor about the either the firmware update or the app update on the 20th. That's also the rumored date that the people that pre-ordered will start to receive. That's why that update's coming Friday, because they think that's the day that the pre-order people in the U.S. will be receiving their drone.
Okay.
Well, this is all rumor, speculation.
Yeah.
This is not coming from Hubsan Corporate or Hubsan US. This is just, rumor mill stuff. That Friday's the day that the pre-order was going to come, and that'll be the day that the big update arrives and puts in some of those missing features.
Well, it's three. Like I said, it's 3 months, and I thought it was real interesting because, I was getting progress in my emails saying, it's going to be, initially it was going to be like the 13th, they said, and then the 13th came and went, and then I heard a date, I heard the 20th, but they actually posted it out on their website. Okay, because I went out and I looked, and you can click and look at your order out there on Hubsan US, and it says processing. Okay, that's all it says. It won't say anything until it's actually been shipped. Right. So it was just like, okay, well, what's the holdup? What's the delay? What's going on here? And it actually took a couple of days for them to respond back to me, which I thought was pretty interesting because I think they were crafting up something to tell me. Okay.
Yeah, I the last time I emailed Hubsan.com or whatever, the mothership is Mark, we like to say, they sent me an email back. I think I got it last Friday. And they said, "Oh yeah, your drone's shipping any day now, and we're going to mark yours priority and get yours out first right away." You know, and
Yeah.
it's just like all my communication with this current generation of Hubsan, and it sounds like the same way over Hubsan US. It's all sunshine, light, pops, and rainbows. Everything's good. Your drone's on the way. Don't worry about it. Again, we're all walking on sunshine around here.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly what it is, and that's exactly the tone that you get from these emails. And meanwhile, we're still sitting here empty-handed. We don't have it. And
I mean, people say, "Well, you guys got all these drones. What are you complaining about? You guys fly all these drones." But we're as much speaking about the drone community as much as we are ourselves. Whatever. Sure, we got other drones to fly. It doesn't matter to us if it comes next week, next month, or whatever. We got plenty of drones to fly. But what about the poor guy out there? This is his current drone right here, the Nahimi or whatever. But he's waiting for his first good camera drone, and he's been waiting all summer to get his first good camera drone or whatever. Summer is it's we're already halfway through it or better here, and he's not getting any of that nice 4K footage that he was dreaming of when he read Hubsan's, their big ad back in May.
You listen to what they had to say. It sounds good. I mean, with all the feature set that was with it, it's like, okay, I said for that kind of feature set, I'm going to get it. And that's why I pulled the plug. And that's why, both you and Marcus did the same thing, because, this feature set just sounds absolutely incredible for a mini drone. And here we are, it's 3 months later, no drones in hand. And, like you said, we're hearing sunshine, rainbows, lollipops, pixie sticks. I mean, the whole 9 yards. And we're not getting, we still just don't have that product in hand. And like you said, and I think that's a good point. There are a lot of people out there who listen to us, who, for good or bad, kind of, will heed our advice and our recommendations. And, we say these all with a grain of salt, always with a grain of salt, because, we're not hard and fast. We don't know. We haven't had these drones yet. We're basing it upon previous experience. We're basing it upon some of the videos that we've seen. These are our recommendations. And I feel safe to say, and I think Ron would probably say it too. It's a drone that, I think it bears some a serious look at. And that's something that Ron's going to do, Mark's going to do, I'm going to do. A lot of people are going to take a good look at it and listen to what we have to say on it. But
and to the point, we kind of been beating it down a little bit here, but let's pump it up a little bit. We've already said it. It seems to hover well. It seems to fly well. The video looked good. Ali Shan, flew with almost no sunshine. It's hard to tell. But at this price point, the base price of this drone is $459. If you don't order anything else, okay, you get working obstacle avoidance out of the box. He tested it. It seemed to work just fine or whatever. You get waypoints. Now that feature's on the drone, and it's working right now. He tests the waypoints. They seem to work well. Now, if you were to buy a DJI drone, to get obstacle avoidance, you have to go up to the first, Air 2, which is still available for $800. But if you want waypoints out of the box, you have to go all the way up to the Mavic 3 series, which is they're kind of almost all sold out. It's almost end of life product, whatever. So I think on DJI you can only buy the Mavic 2 Pro bundle with the smart control, which
smart controller,
like $1,700-$1,800. So in other words, to get some of the stuff you're getting this $459 drone, DJI doesn't offer it anywhere in the same price category that Hubsan's offering for it. And these have been tested. The obstacle avoidance and the waypoint work. I'm not saying they're the best in class or anything, but they're very acceptable at this price point.
At that price point, you're right, Ron. Having this feature set on a mini drone and working out of the box, the relatively stable flight, the obstacle avoidance working, okay, waypoints are working on that. I mean, that's a big deal, because I know a lot of people, especially for waypoints, ask constantly. That's one of the questions I get a lot of. hey, Bill, what DJI drone has waypoints on it? Because they, that they may be new to it or whatever, and find out, and I tell them, well, yeah, you got to get a Mavic 2 series in order to get waypoints. You can't get it
And
on
then
a
the person says, well, I can't afford that.
yeah, and who you can, and see, the thing is, not a lot of people are right now. If you're looking to buy a drone, are going to chunk down $1,800, realizing the Mavic 2 series, it's really kind of like end of life right now. Because their inventory is starting to dwindle, not only like online on retailers, but in brick and mortar stores as well too. It's a sign. It's a sign that something's coming. Okay, how soon we don't know.
And also a sign that the Air 2S can fill the void for a few months until we get the Mavic 3.
Oh, absolutely, it sure can. I don't see.
But of course, if waypoints are a requirement for you, then it can't fill the void.
Yeah, and that's where the Zino Mini Pro comes in. Having in flying waypoints, it's fun. I like it. I think it's really cool. And I set it up and ran it on the Mavic 2 Pro, and it's so much fun.
Yep.
I mean, you just sit there, you hold the controller, you sit there and watch everything, and it does everything. You don't have to do a thing. It just, the height, the altitude, the speed, everything. It's all done for you.
And you don't have to worry if you make a mistake on the sticks or something like that or whatever. You're not going to fly crooked or yaw too hard or whatever, because it's all automated.
It's all automated.
It's going to fly perfectly straight.
And this is why, and you're right. It's something. I think we're kind of chomping at the bit, and I think we're excited about the Zino Mini Pro because it has a very rich feature set. And I think we're really anticipating this to be a very good drone. I mean, the other thing that I'm anxious for, and I know Ali Shah really kind of didn't touch on it, was, getting that video off of the drone and onto your PC or Mac.
He made a separate video showing how to do it on a Windows PC. It just kind of shows up like an external hard drive.
Okay.
You drag and drop the files over. The only thing alarming in that video, not alarming, but the only thing he showed that the raw photos weren't working yet. You can only take JPEGs with it right now, even though the raw photos he said are coming.
Well, that's good. That's good that's easy, because I think a lot of people, that's so nice having the ability, run that cable from the drone, plug it into a USB port, and boom, it's right there, and just download it to your PC.
And I've made one of the popular videos on my channel is one where I showed the Mavic 2, getting the files off the Mavic 2 the same way. Just plug it into the computer and it just appears an external hard drive, and you just drop the stuff over. Almost as easy as doing the memory card thing, except that you have to boot the drone up during the process. Another unusual thing you showed in one of, no, it was in a Hubsan training video where they did the update on the Zino Pro. You unlike a DJI drone, you get the app open on the phone and you plug the phone directly into the drone to the update. The controller is not in the equation of updating the drone, and then you would update the controller separately. But you know how we're used to DJI world, where the controller is kind of a component over here. It's just a phone into the drone, which kind of reminds you of the Skydoo stuff. The Skydoo is the same way. When you update the Skydoo, you just plug the phone directly into the drone.
Into the drone. That's interesting. That's an interesting update.
And I say plug. With the Skydoo, you don't plug it; it just does it wirelessly. But with the Hubsan, you plug it in.
And I think it would it would do people well to watch a lot of these videos that Hubsan has put out already, so you can be prepared when
it's all good English. They're all 2 or 3 minutes. So they're easy to watch, easy to understand, and they they give quite a bit of information. The one recently, how they kind of come up with funny terms. Remember, I think it was Hubsan that was for precision landing. They were calling it landing on the apron, and the apron meant the landing pad. Well, guess what? You saw if you ordered an extra. I think if you ordered the extra battery kit, you get the multi-charger included. Ali Shah showed it in his unboxing. They call the multi-charging unit the butler.
The butler.
The charging butler or whatever. And the charging butler will charge up to 4 batteries. It'll charge the controller, and it'll even charge like a cell phone or whatever. But they refer to it as the charging butler.
The charging butler. Question of the day. What did you think about the latest update regarding the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's a great day to fly.